Hello Aquarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video Aquarius January 2021 Astrology Must Knows. This month, besides your birthdays, which is always an exciting event, we've got major, epic things to report. We've got all the planets moving forward, so there will be momentum that is dizzying. And gosh, we have been waiting for this for a while. And now that we've gotten it, starting at the end of November, all of December, and into January, by now your head might be spinning with the types of changes and the fastness of the changes that are coming in. If you have to do something important, sign paperwork, make commitments, the time in the first half of January is much more solid for that. Things start to get a little fuzzy as we move into Mercury retrograde cycle starting in the middle of the month. One other note before I get into more details about this month is this video is for you if your sun is in Aquarius, if your moon is in Aquarius, if your rising is in Aquarius, if you know your chart well and you have other placements in Aquarius and you want to watch for that. This is for you regardless of which placement. And if you are a late degree Aquarius, so if you're like in the last 10 days of the sign, or so like February 11th, 12th through the rest of the sign, or like 20 degrees through the rest of the sign. I also recommend that you listen to my Pisces video because those of you who are late degree placements, your chart can sometimes look more like the chart of the next sign, which in this case is Pisces. So for those of you cuspy people, I recommend you watch for both Aquarius and Pisces. Okay. So now, back to these wide open stars. Okay, so this is a time, it's very rare when all the planets are moving forward. That's going to be happening this month. So you want to take advantage of this, okay? Because we're not going to have this moving forward energy again until like March into April, and it will be really good then, okay? So if there's something that you don't feel sure about, you don't feel quite ready, don't force it because you will have some good stars then. And it is critical this month. This is such a big must know. There are aspects this month that will lend themselves to zealotry. And some of that zealotry may be regretted if you're not careful and if you wipe off too much of the old, okay? This is a time when radical new things are coming in and old things are leaving. But you might need some of those old things for a little bit longer as you build the new things. So it's a good time to start things this month as long as you're not overcommitting, overpromising, overdoing, because there are tons of aspects that could work against you if you do that. Okay, so we are going to get more eclipse news coming in from the November and December eclipses. January 4th in particular is when Venus moves over that ecliptic point and might bring some news. We've got clashes and other aspects with Mercury, including an aspect with Mercury and Pluto that can bring very powerful information coming in. This is a month that is full of information in your personal life, in the global sector, in your country. It's just, there's so much coming in. There's so much coming in. It's going to be hard to process all of it. You might not know what to do with all of it. And if things haven't rolled out by mid-month, if you can kind of hold on to a little bit, just like keep the lid on it for a little longer to watch how it progresses, you will have more information that comes in. And a lot of things that seem like they're happening now, 60 days from January, 60 days from the middle of January, into middle of March, April, things can start to happen really fast again. So if like I said, if you can just kind of like hold on before like canceling a whole bunch of stuff, changing a whole bunch of things that are later in the year, things might start to regulate a little bit more as the year goes on. Okay, but there definitely are going to be epic life-changing events from many aspects this month, and including miracle breakthroughs. There's always a chance for miracle breakthroughs whenever we have starry clashes and whenever we have starry sweet spots. But this month, because of just the sheer nature of the volume of aspects, Jupiter and Mars and Saturn and Uranus are all going to be clashing and, making these challenging aspects, making some nice aspects. There's just so much going on that it's going to be hard to process everything. So you're going to have to do everything you can to stay grounded, to be really clear before you move forward, and to hold on to some backup plans while you're seeing how things are going to be coming in. Because there can be quite shocking news that comes in this month, okay, in a global way and in a personal way. Okay, so now I want to talk about some things very specific for Aquarius. Let's first talk about birthdays. In the weeks before your birthday, which is, you know, for you early and some of you middle degree placements, that's happening this month in January. The weeks before your birthday, the sun lights up the 12th house. Okay, the 12th house is this house, I call it an attic, the attic of our being. You could also call it a basement. It's basically like a place that's like dark. It's our unconscious, it's our subconscious mind. And when the sun gets there, which happens the weeks before your birthday, or if you're watching for your sun or moon or whatever you're watching for, your rising, before the sun crosses over that Aquarius point, when it gets into that 12th house, before it gets to that ascendant point where it crosses over, it lights up the attic. So the fears, the anxiety, the restlessness. This is going to be a month that is major, and I'll talk about this more later when we get into the Jupiter square with Uranus. This is a mega aspect of ultimate proportion, so I'm going to give you some good information, some very detailed information after I talk about some of these specific Aquarius things. But nerves are going to be rattled this month, okay? You don't have to fear this. You just have to know this because it is going to occur. And when it's occurring, then you can remember I said it, and then you don't have to be like, what's going on here? Why am I so nervous? What's happening? I feel like everything is ending. You might feel like the world is ending. It's not. You might feel like something going on in your country is ending. In some ways it could be, but there's new beginnings. Okay, so there are endings, but there are new beginnings, and those new beginnings might not be as clear or as solid yet. And in the meantime, you're anxious about it, okay? So just know that. Whatever you can do to be calm, meditate, hydrotherapy, walk, exercise, relaxing music, anything, you're going to need that this month. If you can put your anxiety into productivity, that's good. Just make sure you don't overcommit, you're not overzealous, and you don't, wipe clean a slate that you might wish you had a little bit left of. Okay, so basically the sun moving through the 12th house sometimes shows you the things that you don't want. And it can show that in reflections through other people's behavior. It can show you your own behavior, through ways that you feel. And that puts you in ripe time for your birthday wishes, okay? Birthday wishes are very powerful. The sun represents what we want. When the sun in the sky gets back into the point that it was at when you were born, it opens a portal for wishing. That's what birthday wishes are about. And if you have another placement in Aquarius that you're watching for, you can still set intentions and, use this energy of the sun lighting up that whatever planet it's moving over or placement it's moving over. But the birthday wishes, you want to say them out loud, you want to write them down, you want to feel them as if they've come true. You can see more information about this if you search for my video, Making Wishes Come True, about how to best use your birthday wishes. So happy birthday, and we'll move on from here. Okay, so one more thing about the 12th house is that not only is the sun accentuating it at this time for you, you've got planets there in the long term. All right, there's some of them are starting to move out for those of you who are earlier in the sign, like Saturn and Jupiter. For those of you who are in the early parts of the sign, they're going to start moving out of there, finishing a very long cycle of focus on your subconscious mind or your fears or your addictions or anxiety or mental instability, things like that. Those things you might start to notice might start to fade as problems, okay? So you've got a big push here, and the more you can work internally, the more you can get to the gold. All right, so some of the big clashes that are occurring this month, they can manifest in any way. So I've talked about some of these things. If you've watched my work for a while, we've had some of these yucky clashes in August, other times through, in the October, November with Mars retrograde. There are some difficult aspects with Mars this month that can bring up aggression in people, so you are going to have to be careful. I'm not going to give you the dates of these because literally the aspects that are in clashing are all scattered through the month. Like literally any day could be flavored by an aspect that's nearby where this can come up at any time of the month. So the dates aren't even as important as knowing that people are going to be on edge. You might be one of them. People are going to be anxious. There's going to be a lot of restlessness. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And you're really going to have to access your superhero self, which you can do. One of the best things to do in anxiety is to access your superhero self. I always like to recommend there's a homeopathic remedy. Now, please note that I'm saying this is not an herbal remedy. This is a homeopathic remedy called Gelsemium, Gelsemium. The herbal remedy can be quite toxic, so I'm not recommending that. But in its homeopathic form, you can order it through, just search for homeopathy online and look for this remedy, even like a 30C. I've recommended this before for the changes that come with eclipses, and you can use it for that. But anything basically that you're afraid of that is coming and you feel the change, or you see the change, or it's happening, and you really need to align your body with the fact that, and your being with the fact that it's going on, and this can help. Okay, so you can look into that. Something you just put under your tongue, and it basically, like some midwives, this is how I was introduced to it, will give this when a woman's going to give birth and there's fear about the process, so it can just help you in the birthing of the new. All right, so some of these clashes are going to highlight your communication sector and your vehicle and your driving and your transportation sector. Okay, so this is a specific must-know for Aquarius. You have to be especially careful of road rage and yourself and other people having this at this time. Everybody could look out for this, okay? But the Aquarius placements, because this third house is aspected for you with these clashes, it's bringing it in. Difficult communications with people this month. Maybe things have been pending, discussions you've been having to have. It might get a little bit dicey, but again, don't fear it, because with the discussion, it brings it out. It's kind of like a festering, something with like a wound where all of the yucky stuff is coming out, and the process of that is yucky. That's just the word. You've seen I've used this technical term, professional technical term, several times already, that there are a lot of those aspects this month. But I want to also make sure you hear me say, just because they're present doesn't mean there aren't also good things present, and there aren't also chances to completely change your life in wonderful ways. It's just, you're going to feel this, you're going to feel the tensions, and you have to be extra careful, especially as you're biking and walking and driving and all of that. And of course, I've always been a huge advocate of please don't text while you're driving or walking or riding your bike, but this would be a month to really not do that, okay? All right, so let's see. You've got some special extra karma getting worked out for Aquarius placements in your friendship sectors, in your place within the group, in finding your place within your tribe. But you are going to have a long stretch of plenty of opportunities to work those out and find your footing in those areas, because all of the Aquarian energies, and of course, Saturn and Jupiter are moving into your sign. This is, you know this energy of Aquarius, which rules this 11th house, which is where this South Node has been transiting. Communities, online or in person, humanitarian projects, your group, your social things, social media, internet-based projects, things like that. This is all the land of the Aquarius person. And now Jupiter and Saturn are getting into your sign. So those of you who are at the beginning of the sign, holy smokes, you're going to be having like epic changes of ultimate proportions, undoubtedly. If you've got early placements. So again, I talk about this a lot. If you haven't run a free birth chart, find how to run a free birth chart online and run your chart so you can see the degrees. There are 360 degrees in a circle, 12 signs, 360 degrees divided by 12 is 30 degrees, 30 degrees in each sign. That means your Aquarius placements are somewhere between 0 and 29 degrees. And if you know that information, you can use what I am giving you more, okay? Those of you who have later Aquarius placements, you're going to have changes and opportunities and all of that too. But a lot of those bigger times for you are going to be coming in the future when Jupiter and Saturn get up to that point. But this month, those of you right at the beginning of the sign, or those of you with early degree placements, and you might not know you have those early degree placements unless you run a free birth chart, okay? So I'm forever coaxing you to try to go a little deeper here. But anyway, this karma with your friendships, this karma with you within the group and your tribe and finding the people who you resonate with, hopefully you'll have some notable headway on that in this month and the months to come. Okay, so you're going to have some extra yumminess from Venus still in Sagittarius and Mars just a little bit left over of the fire sign of Aries. Those are aspects that are really positive for you this month, and you're going to experience those more towards the beginning of the month. As the month moves on, the personal planets will move into placements that are not in as much harmony for you, Aquarius, personally. And you will feel that discord, and you will feel that just kind of awkwardness as the month goes on. So you want to take advantage of the beginning of the month as much as possible. Okay, so let's get down into the nitty-gritty of understanding this Jupiter square Uranus aspect. Unlike the upcoming in February Saturn square Uranus aspect, we're only going to have one of these Jupiter-Uranus aspects this year. The Saturn one will have 3 times, and we'll talk about that more next month. That's going to be a very big deal too. But it's important to understand, like, there are must-knows about this transit because it is a biggie. Whenever the outer planets come in close connection, or exact connection in this case, it definitely brings notable things globally down to the individual level, okay? So the first must know here is that you will feel very anxious, okay? The energy of Uranus really rules like the nervous system in some ways. So it's like when there's an aspect with Uranus, we often feel like our fingers stuck in an electric socket. And so the anxiety levels run super high, and those are going to have to be managed. So you just need to know that going into this month, even though we've already had, you know, a long series of that going on, this month is going to be like that as well, okay? The second thing is that even though, as I mentioned earlier, since all the planets are moving forward, it is a good time to move forward and to make decisions and to do important things, especially in the first half of January before Mercury starts to slide into its retrograde process. But there's a caution here with the Jupiter square Uranus because people can feel really, really, really compelled to do crazy things. And some of those, if there's like a calculated risk involved, could turn out really well. But there could be an interference with the discernment process of figuring out what those things are. So like extravagance, erratic behavior, you know, because Jupiter rules excess. So like big purchases, big commitments, big, you know, trying to cut something off, or big decisions about like kind of making a clean slate, a clean cut, and then moving forward, like trying to cut ties completely. There is some caution with that. So even though the stars are moving forward and it is good to make these big decisions in some ways, if you can leave your lifeline intact, if you can leave an option, you know, for holding on to some of the old stuff until you can see how the new stuff shakes out, because you might wish you had some of that stuff to go back to, that's a very, very major must know for this aspect. If you've got that option to like wait a little bit until the tensions aren't as high, wait a little bit to see if you can find a bridge option that includes both of the things that might be in question. You know, it's just can be a little bit sketchy making a clean cut at this time with this aspect. People are also very, receptive to other people's intentions. So whether it's on your personal level with somebody close to you, or whether it's in a level of like a leader or a religious leader or a political leader trying to exert or say things, people are going to be very open to suggestion at this time with this aspect. And actually, there are cult leaders, known cult leaders, that have had this aspect in their natal charts, like the capacity to woo somebody over into something that seems so exciting, like it's going to solve all the problems. Just be very wary of anyone or anything that says, now all your problems are going to be gone if you do this thing. Unless it's something that's low stakes, low commitment, you know, has protections in order, isn't like one of those big clean cut where you're just like completely separating. You know, if it's something that seems reasonable, and maybe you might not even know if it's reasonable, that's the difficulty. You know, I would say have like people that you trust to cross-reference before you do anything crazy with this aspect, okay? So, let me see what else I wanted to tell you about this. So the energy of rebellion is going to be very strong because of the planet Uranus ruling Aquarius, and now Jupiter's in Aquarius and Saturn's in Aquarius, and then we've got these aspects with Uranus, which rules Aquarius, you know, so it's like the energy of like being a rebel, breaking free is going to be very strong, and you will be able. That's one of the very plus sides of this aspect, even though it is a challenging aspect, we could call it, it's a point of tension. You can break free of things that were shackling you. But the more you direct the breaking of the shackles to things like clearing up addictions, clearing up debt, clearing up, you know, overspending, like clearing up bad habits, the more you can be more sure that it's going to be a good thing what you think that you are breaking free from, okay? Because breaking free for the sake of itself might seem very alluring at this time, and people could make some rash decisions that they later regret. So a lot of caution and care has to be given. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, so there, you know, along with this can also come like impatience, because you're wanting to make it happen, and you know, towards the middle of the month then things might start slowing down again, or you know, here I'm telling you like take a little caution when you move forward. So there could be some of this like frustration with not feeling clear about something. But if you don't feel super clear about something, then definitely I would suggest waiting it out a little longer. The energies will be much more clear in March and April for trying to make some big decisions again, in the event that you're not completely clear at this time. Some other things about Jupiter squaring Uranus are, first of all, that it may coincide with major trajectory changes. And this is an interesting topic now because we've just come out of eclipse season, and we're still kind of getting some leftover things from the November, December eclipses, which definitely are trajectory changing and can really set people on a completely different course. And this aspect does the same thing. So it's very kind of eclipse reminder like in that way, where it's, you know, you could see something come, and if it's coming out of your control and you can't do anything about it, then your choice is to clear up the resistance and accept it, or look for possible solutions or ways around it. And if those can't be found, then, you know, to try to regain your peace on the topic. But it does often coincide with very dramatic life changes, and also changes in fortune. So people may make a bunch of money and all of a sudden be rich. People may lose a bunch of money and all of a sudden, you know, have a reversal of their financial situation. So those types of things can happen. An analogy that I've been thinking of for this aspect has to do with those stories we hear about certain people who have become famous too fast, or become famous too young, or become successful too young or too fast, or just too plain successful and famous, right? Sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is true for all people who are successful or famous, obviously, but there are many people we've heard of that have just not been able to handle that level of change and that extreme change, or that extreme experience, and it has burnt them up. And this energy is very much like that. So many people might be thrown into the spotlight, thrown into fame, thrown into fortune, or thrown into not fortune, you know, just like a big change. But a lot of it can be very positive, like, you know, you get your dream that you worked for, but you need some help and support managing the openness that comes with it. Sometimes this aspect can bring too much freedom and too many options, and the confusion that comes from those things, you know. So definitely, if you're in a position like this where something like this occurs, remember what I said, so that you can seek out support to help you stay grounded and help you stay centered and help you make good choices during the major changes. Because zealotry is another word that I'm using to describe what this energy can bring. And even though the aspect is happening on the 17th of January, this is a big one. So we're feeling this, you know, even a month or more before it's starting to build, and we'll feel it after. It'll flow after. It's like, it's a big one. We're not going to feel it just on the day and the week of this. This is a trend that's kind of building in our subconscious. It's making itself more external the closer we get to the middle of January, and then it's present all through January. Really, this is strong, and then it will start to fade out, into February and into the beginning of March. Then that cycle will be complete with this particular aspect. But it is much more longer lived, and it can create very permanent effects as well, depending on the decisions made. So just be excited if your life is expanding in wonderful ways, but just keep your center and be very cautious with the decisions that you make, understanding all of these pieces now. Okay, so I know I've given you a lot to digest here. If you would like to have even more information on how you can understand and utilize the energies at play from the planetary perspective, then go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. There you'll see lots of blogs that I've written on astrology and other topics, but there you can also sign up for my free email newsletter. And with that, you will get delivered into your inbox 1 month early my written report of the sweet and salty aspects and their dates and what you can expect from them, as well as my general write-up of the month in a written version so that you can go back over it and digest it. So it's not a transcript of these videos, but it is a summary and some more details about the general energies at play. Okay, so you can get that at AnnieHelpsYou.com, and you'll also receive my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free as a member of my email community. Okay, so all that's at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Then you can go to CozyBySweetStarlight.com, and you'll see my written horoscopes up 1 month early, as well as book recommendations for each sign for each month, depending on the sun, where the sun is for each sign, plus healthy lifestyle and spiritual lifestyle blogs on there. It's a beautiful site. You will love it. So you can check that out, CozyBySweetStarlight.com. Definitely also go to my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at LumeLife.com, L-U-M-E Life.com. I've got free courses there on health and wellness, also on increasing your abundance. You can see those free courses, and you can see my paid course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you think I put a lot into the free resources that I give you every month, you should see what I do for the paid resources. It is quite crazy comprehensive, and it will equip you to do whatever you'd like to do in astrology, whether it's just for your own self-development and helping your family and friends, or if you'd like to include it in part of a professional offering, or just do astrology as your work. I will teach you what you need to know to do that. So you can see all of that there. And very exciting, it's definitely time to get my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. It's out officially on December 8th of 2020. You can pre-order it before then, and you can find it on Audible. It's on Kindle. It's in a print version. It's on Barnes & Noble Nook. It's a beautiful hardcover reference book that you'll go back to time and time again. All of the Books A Million stores and all of the Barnes & Noble stores in the entire US has ordered copies of this book. So you should be able to walk in and get it unless somebody's bought them already. But you can also order them on Amazon and at independent booksellers, many independent booksellers worldwide, and also some big booksellers worldwide have also stocked this book. So you can find it pretty much anywhere. So you can see that, more of that, by just searching for Planetology and my name. And I hope you have a wonderful month. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next month. Bye.